Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm your host, Melina Wisecup, in for Steve Lance tonight. House Republicans have revealed their version for America as the November 8th midterms draw near. The Commitment to America event happened in Pennsylvania this morning. NTD was there.
Today in a warehouse deep in America's Rust Belt, House Republicans shared their vision in the run-up to the 2022 midterm elections.
What we're going to roll out today is a commitment to America in Washington. Not Washington, D.C., but Washington County, Pennsylvania.
In that power to the people spirit, McCarthy revealed his first move should the GOP retake the House in November: scrap a Democrat plan to hire far more taxmen over the next 10 years.
Because on our very first bill, we're going to repeal 87,000 IRS agents. Our job is to work for you, not go after you.
House GOP Whip Steve Scalise said that 87,000 new agents should be sent to secure the southern border instead. Lawmakers committing to securing the border and stopping deadly fentanyl from entering America.
That poison starts in China and comes across our border. Do you realize it's killing 300 Americans every day? It's like an airliner crashing each day.
Republicans criticizing the Democrats' catch-and-release border policy. But unsurprisingly, American families suffering under inflation was today's biggest talking point. The Republican plan? Cut government spending and revitalize fossil fuel production to bring down gas prices and manufacturing costs. That's in stark contrast to the Democrats' expensive plans to reduce CO2 emissions. But House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer criticized the GOP plan as short on specifics.
Their new platform, which isn't frankly new, as long as slogans are short on details. That's because the true details of Republicans' agenda are too frightening for most American voters.
Hoyer didn't elaborate further. Paul Graney, NTD News, Pennsylvania.
House Republican Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy told NTD's Steve Lance today that their plan offers a new direction for America. Here's a bit of their discussion.
Leader McCarthy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Leader, the Commitment to America, why was it important for you to put pen to paper?
Well, look, we're rolling out in Washington, not Washington, D.C., but Washington County, Pennsylvania. Why? Because the Commitment to America is about you, the American public, not about the politicians in Washington. For the last year and a half, we've gone across the nation listening to Americans. And they're fearful. They wonder where they can afford it. Can they afford to fill up their gas? Can they go to the grocery store again to where it costs more? Their take-home pay is less. They only get 11 months. They lost 1 month of their wages because the Democrats have caused inflation. And so what we think you should do is actually have a plan for a new direction. And that's what the Commitment to America is, a plan for a new direction, where we'll have an economy that's strong. By that, we take away this runaway spending, the Democrats. We make America energy independent so your price of gas goes lower, more money in your pocket. Inflation gets slowed down. We bring the supply chain back from China into America. We believe in a nation that's safe. We watch the Democrats defund the police and crime rises from Portland to Philadelphia is the highest it's been in 20 years. So we will make sure we don't defund the police. We actually bring 200,000 more police officers. We put the accountability to these prosecutors and DAs to uphold the law fairly and equally. Then what we look at is a future that's built on freedom. Give parents a say in their kids' education. Pass a Parents' Bill of Rights. Then we have a government that's going to be held accountable.
Leader, do you believe that the GOP is the party of the working class?
Oh, very much so. Look to where we are right now. Look to our policies. Look to who we listen to. It's definitely the party of the working class.
You also said earlier today that you're going to hold China accountable. Could you tell us what your plan is?
Well, first of all, why don't we find out where the origins of COVID started? I'm going to create a select committee on China so we can look at every single industry that China has created, made a dependency on, and bring that back to America. We're also going to look from the aspects of holding government accountable as well. The DOJ going after parents. So there's a lot of places that we have to work towards.
Leader Kevin McCarthy.
Thank you.
And in sharp contrast, President Biden at a DNC event today touched on many issues that will be key in this November election, including abortion, restrictions to gun rights, and Social Security benefits. Here's what he said will happen if Republicans take control of Congress.
President Biden at a DNC event on Friday touched on many issues that will be key in this November election, including abortion, restrictions to gun rights, and Social Security benefits. Here's what he said will happen if Republicans take control of Congress.
If Republicans win control of the Congress, abortion will be banned. And by the way, it will be initially banned, but if they win Congress, I will veto it.
Biden promised that the Democratic Party will codify Roe v. Wade if they win 2 more seats in the Senate. Here's what he also promised to do if Democrats win this election.
Republicans will once again side with the NRA and put American families and children at risk. And I mean, some Democrats as well, and there's some Republicans who support us. It's not down the line, but it's the part of their platform. Democrats will ban assault weapons once and for all.
And the president also commented on the Republican Party platform this election, which House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy unveiled earlier on Friday.
That's a thin series of policy goals with little or no detail that he says Republicans are going to pursue if they regain control of the Congress. In the course of nearly an hour, here's a few of the things we didn't hear. We didn't hear him mention the right to choose. We didn't hear him mention Medicare. We didn't hear him mention Social Security.
Biden repeated during his speech that democracy is on the ballot this November and that he believes America is at an inflection point. Reporting by Allison Lee, NTD News.
And the latest news on the economy. Stocks worldwide tumbled today as fears of a global recession swept over investors. With the Federal Reserve hiking interest rates by 0.75% this week, some analysts worry that a recession is already here and more damage is expected. The Federal Reserve projects unemployment is expected to rise. The rate was at 3.7% in August and could reach up to 5% in 2023. That means another 1 to 2 million Americans could be laid off. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell told reporters this week that inflation was running high and must be brought down, and that it will not be painless and could require more than just a, quote, relatively modest increase in unemployment. Powell's comments directly contradict President Biden, who recently said that prices had risen just an inch, hardly at all. Today at the United Nations, Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with China's foreign minister. This is the first time the two have met since President Biden said the U.S. would defend Taiwan against the Chinese invasion. NTD's Jason Perry has the story.
While at the United Nations General Assembly, Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Chinese Communist Party Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Just the day before, Wang said the Taiwan issue was growing into the biggest risk in China-U.S. relations in a speech to the Asia Society think tank in New York. This was the first time the two leaders met since President Biden said he would use U.S. forces to defend Taiwan in an interview on 60 Minutes.
So unlike Ukraine, to be clear, sir, U.S. forces, U.S. men and women, would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion.
Yes.
The White House walked back Biden's remarks the next day, preserving the policy of strategic ambiguity. And on Friday at the United Nations, China and the United States got a chance to clear things up. Blinken expressed to Wang that the United States is committed to maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, consistent with the long-standing One China policy. Blinken also met with leaders from the Quad.
I think our four countries know very well that the significant challenges that we face, as well as the opportunities that are before us, demand more than ever that we work together.
The four leaders attended a signing ceremony of the Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Relief Guidelines. Jason Perry, NTD News.
This meeting between the Secretary of State and his Chinese counterpart comes just days after President Biden reiterated that the United States' One China policy has not changed. That's after he made a very different point in an interview over the past weekend, saying that the U.S. would send troops to defend Taiwan if China invades. We caught up with Senator Marshall this week to discuss.
Yeah, I think this hurts American security because President Biden does not have a consistent message. When I'm traveling abroad, other leaders from other countries ask me, where is America? Why did your president abandon Afghanistan? That Ukraine would not have happened if Afghanistan hadn't happened. So this is just continuing blunder by Joe Biden. He's a horrible leader. He hurts our national security.
Do you think that leadership here should have a stronger chance a stronger stance on China and holding them accountable? Another senator just mentioned to me, U.S. corporations are helping to prop up China, giving them the funds they would need to invade Taiwan. Do you think leadership here needs to do more?
Absolutely. So my biggest national security concerns about China will come more from bioterrorism concerns, the research that we're doing with China under gain of function. Look, we've lost over 1 million Americans from COVID, which is really gain of function research funded by Dr. Fauci that China has been executing, and we're continuing to do that. The entirety of America's war since the Revolutionary War, we've lost 700,000 Americans, but 1 million from COVID. We can't begin to do enough. Think about this. 95% of the counterfeits that come in this country come in through China. 90% of the fentanyl is coming in across our southern border, made in China. They're stealing $500 billion of intellectual property every year. Have I said enough? Every day cyber threats are coming, cyber attacks are coming from China. We need to up our game. Long term, they're absolutely the #1 concern we have from a threat to America.
And lastly, sorry, on the China issue, also with regards to climate change, we keep investing more in climate change, which is not to argue whether or not we need to transition to renewable energy, but we're just not at a point where we're self-sufficient with that. And right now the Commerce Department is actually investigating those Southeast Asian countries that Biden just waived tariffs on for potentially funneling solar panels through those countries from China, made with forced labor. Do you think you guys should be doing more to crack down on forced labor persecution, from China?
Yeah, there's absolutely more we should be doing. And let me start by saying I want to leave this world cleaner, healthier, and safer than we found it. But as we think about energy policy and the environment, we need to think about affordability and reliability as well. And what we see right now with Joe Biden's religious experience with their Green New Deal is that actually empowers, it helps those countries like China, like Southeast Asia. Whenever you're just pouring out billions of dollars of American cash, of course these foreign countries are going to find ways to take advantage of it. We need a lot more common sense. We need to unleash American energy.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.